Okay, let's get started there, everybody. Welcome back to another 2 p.m. PST YouTube stream. I'm your host, Strangebird Jim, and we are going to be getting back into Pega. Now, for those of you that have been kind of wondering, where have you been? At least when it comes to Pega. You I'm sorry, uh, my mind was just kind of trying to be, its normal evil self sometimes. So, well, actually, that could be actually taken out of context there. Um, it was being mean to me. So, um, so I haven't really been wanting to do much in terms of uploading Pega videos. I just wanted to kind of go into, um, just play some games and kind of escape a little bit. Um, so that's basically what's been kind of going on lately. Um, you know, uh, it doesn't help when you get rejection letters and everything, and um, so, but I mean, what can I do? Um, I gotta keep on putting one foot in front of the other in order to progress. Um, so yeah, we still got a little ways to go on Pega. We still need to study more for it so that we can attempt the certification and get it. Um, so there's still quite a bit for me to do, and well, um, if I just sit around and do nothing, then I'm never actually going to reach that end. I'm never going to reach that goal. So I want to thank everybody for who's been joining me from these videos. I've been kind of noticing the fact that a lot of individuals have been subscribing to me probably because of these videos. So, um, I want to thank you for doing that. I appreciate it. Um, you know, uh, if you do enjoy these videos, then, I hope that you give me, the like, subscription, and so on and so forth, to kind of help me out on the YouTube algorithm. Um, but that's, of course, your choice. Um, there's also uh, been kind of kicking around the idea of maybe doing um, like an actual, like another project. Um, because I have a friend, my friend Blackheart. He wants to, also get into programming, but he's been having probably about the same amount of luck that I have when it comes to um, getting a programming job as well. So I figure we can probably team up and try to build something together, and who knows, maybe make something out of it. I mean, that's one of the nice things about being a programmer is that if you have a computer or if you have some kind of tool that you can use to generate some kind of code, then you know you might be able to make something that could be used by others. So um that's a potential. um Still trying to work out the logistics of it all. You know, um, you know, uh, you know, do we want to code something ourselves? Do we want to use an engine? Do we want to, what do we want to make? All those kind of things are typically you wanna plan first before you really get into any kind of um you wanna plan out your course first before you start trying to build anything. Okay, if you try to go directly into coding like right off the bat, then you're just gonna it's just gonna lead to failure, you know, or at least um, that's my interpretation of it. So, pardon me, I need to blow my nose here real quick. Okay. Um, so there's a plan being formed right at this moment in time. It hasn't been anything official. Um, Now, what I would probably do myself is maybe set up like an hour of time, during these streams that I do to maybe just work on, obviously, if we go into tutorials, it'd be, figuring out, you know, um, figuring out like, what kind of engine, you know, learning that engine, um, and then trying to prep, um, what we might want to do, you know, kind of thing. In my mind, we want to kind of get everything kind of established first, you know. Um, I like seeing a UML, for example, uh, of what we could potentially build. Um, so that's basically the main idea of it. Um, so that's kind of in the works right at this moment in time. We got the just chatting and Goat Simulator 3 for the well, I guess the second time later on tonight. So stay tuned for that if you're watching live on stream. Now, for those of you that are just here strictly for the Pega, um, uh, we got a couple things that we need to take care of. But first, a couple of explanations of who I am and what this series is all about. So, I am a currently unemployed software developer, trying to find, something, some job out there that will take me and teach me the ropes. So far, I have not had that much luck when it comes to finding work. Um, And, one of the ideas is, hey, I was not able to get my system architect certification at my last job, so I might as well try to do that. Okay, so that's one of the ideas. Okay, get my system architect certification, and then I can start applying for more of the Pega jobs because the Pega jobs they're going to require the system architect certification. So, there's not much I can really do about that. Okay, if there's a job out there that will train me for that, then sure, that's great, but not many would. Um, so, or at least no like major business would be willing to like would typically take on someone that has never had any like formal training. Well, I've had some formal training, but um, most businesses don't care about training anymore, which is really sad. Um, you're not helping out your workers that way. Um, okay, so I'm not an authorized training partner, and this is not an instructor-led training. Okay. Um, both of these two should be very well versed in Pega to teach you everything that you need to know. I am not that person. Okay. I don't know every little teeny tiny little detail about Pega to give you all the answers that you may ask. But that shouldn't deter you from asking questions. Okay. If you want to put a question down in, say, my chat right now in midstream or in a comment of my video, please do so. Okay, because, you know, even if I myself cannot answer your question at this particular moment in time, it doesn't mean that someone else, a professional in Pega can't answer it. Okay, I will do my best to answer it if I can. If I can't, then I will try to find someone, that I've met in the past to see what their answer to it would be. So don't be afraid to ask questions on my YouTube videos, please. Um, if you're not understanding something in particular, feel free to ask. Okay? There's no harm in it. Okay? Not only would you be helping you, you'd be helping me, and you'd be helping anybody else that might actually have that same question. So don't be scared on asking it, please. Um, but yeah, if you want to do the instructor delay training, who has, someone directly from Pega that teaches you how to do, like the system architect or the business architect, then go ahead and do so. Okay. But, get your money's worth out of it. It, to me, it's not cheap. And get your money's worth out of it because, you won't have, um, you're not going to be able to get um, you're not going to necessarily get a second chance at it. So, prepare yourself as much as you can to take that certification to pass it. Okay. Even if you get that one question more to get that certification, then hey, that's, you know, you got that certification. So, and obviously you'll learn more when you get to the job. So, or at least you, hopefully. Okay. Um, Two things that I also wanted to do is that I got two emails um, from Pega. I sent in some edits and um, um, one was about the um, there was a note here actually. Before we move on a little bit, business architect is done. If you're watching this right now and you're wondering, are we still covering business architect? We are not. We are done with the business architect mission. So if you're here to study for the business architect, then I recommend you go back through my previous videos and, um, cover the two missions and two modules there. Now, I will recommend these last two modules there are, kind of centered around the Pega Express delivery, and there is a mission that covers more about it. I would recommend that you go over the Pega Express delivery so you are comfortable enough because there's 13%, they say that 13% of the certification is about Pega Express delivery. So you make sure that you are comfortable with that 13%. If you miss, you know, all those questions, then you're at risk of failing that quiz. So, or failing that certification. So be careful with that, or comfortable with that. Okay. Um, Now, uh, we're done with the two missions here. We're going through all the other modules and challenges that are around. So this one is escalating late work module, past deadline interval. So there was a note on here. When you configure service level agreement, SLA, and App Studio, service level agreement rule is created in Dev Studio. My um, my point on that was that I was afraid, the implication of what they were stating in the note was that, you know, um, when you're creating one rule through the App Studio, it would create a completely separate rule with the Dev Studio, you know. So you basically have um, you'd basically have two rules, but for the same SLA, which doesn't make any sense to me, right? Or at least that's the implication that that the phrasing kind of falls towards. It felt like. I got a reply saying the intent of the note is to tell you that when you create an SLA in App Studio, an SLA rule is created in Dev Studio. When you make a change in the SLA in App Studio, the corresponding rule is updated on the back end in Dev Studio. So, I get that. Um, the I know what their intention is, um, but the wording of the note makes it sound as though um, there's two rules being created. Um, so um, so hold on. So I get what you are saying, and I'm fully aware that the same rule is used in both App Studio and Dev Studio. My point is that the the notes wording sounds like the rules I created. Two rules are created, not just one. Um, as though as though when you configure one rule in App Studio, you create another rule in Dev Studio, which I know isn't the case. Um, um, Maybe a slight rewording at work, like you configure a service a, in Studio that SLA can be modified in Dev Studio. Because the rule would have already been generated and created in App Studio. Even though it um, parts of it are restricted App Studio. So just slight rewording is suggested. You are welcome to, or if you want. All right. Okay, so that one's done. The next one that um, we have is actually from the challenge um, of escalating late work. Um, Now, the um, so in this particular case, um, you know, it says here, where is it? Um, that where was it? So, right there, after you add a past deadline interval to an SLA, you can no longer configure the goal and deadline from the case type. So, yeah, that's what, you know, it kind of talks about. And, if you remember from that particular challenge, I went back to the App Studio and it showed that um, the um, the image in it kind of showed the fact that it was still um, you know uh, it wasn't like showing that it was locked. Like what the um, when you go into the case type, it shows, hey, this has been locked. You can't do that. I showed like an image showing the fact that, hey, this isn't, showing that it's locked in the App Studio. Now, um, I got a reply back saying, yes, the SLA should be locked in App Studio. Were you able to save the changes in the SLA in App Studio? It should have given you an error that the record is stale. If you try again, refresh the case when you return to App Studio, and let me know if the SLA is locked or unlocked. So we are going to go ahead and go back through this here again, which obviously, I'm probably going to need to go back through all the steps um, to um, check to see whether or not I can go I can modify this. So okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go through the steps again. Get down to the very bottom. Click save. Notice the fact that the SLA should be locked inside the case type. Okay, and that we would have to and what we're going to do is go back to the App Studio and see if we can modify any of the rules there. Okay, um, and see if we can modify it. So now, if we do get the error that you know are the correspondence is referring to, then then we can let them know that that is indeed the case. It's just not showing the locking that would that the dev studio was showing. So that's something that visually they should probably do in their app studio as well, just so there's no confusion. Um, from anybody in that's trying to work in App Studio. Like if you have um, if you have someone that is, working on the project in the App Studio and um, um, then uh, you don't want them being confused as to why they can't modify the deadline and all that. So, okay. So, systems request, review, service summary step. Okay. Review service. Colon deadline. Okay, and then we open the SLA in Dev Studio. Um, scroll down to locate the past deadline area of the record. Limit past deadline events to field. Enter 6 to repeat the interval until the urgency reaches 100. So, okay, past deadline. So, limit past deadline event to 6. In the men's field, enter 15 to set the past deadline interval to 15 minutes. Amount to increase urgency field, enter 10 to increase the urgency of the assignment by 10 each time the interval lapses. So, click the select action and perform action drop down is displayed. And then we want to notify manager, I believe. Yeah, notify manager. And that should be it. So we click save. Okay, so now if we go back to our case type, you notice that the review service summary here, golden deadline, this SLA has advanced configuration. Open the SLA to view and configure. So it's now locked. You can't modify the golden deadline anymore. Okay, so that's what the note here is stating. After you add a past deadline interval to an SLA, you can no longer configure the golden deadline from the case type. Instead, Pega platform prompts you to open the SLA rule to view and configure the SLA. So you can't modify it here. However, if you go to App Studio, uh, you know, we can see that it's showing the golden deadline. Let me go ahead and refresh. Okay, there it is. So it didn't automatically refresh. So um, so that is just a slight. The fact that it doesn't refresh instantaneously when you activate the fact that it doesn't refresh when you call up the assistance request again, or when you switch over to App Studio, I feel um is a slight problem. But the you know if you try again, refresh the case when you return to App Studio and let me know if the SLA is locked or unlocked. So um, uh, so switched over to App Studio and saw the image that I gave you. Um, but I went ahead and refreshed. Um, the locked goal and deadline is indeed showing uh, after the refresh. So that's good. The um, GND is showing locked. Showing it locked. Um, however, I shouldn't need to refresh it. Refresh the case type when I'm switching back to App Studio. A refresh, I feel, should be automatic. Um, just so there isn't any confusion, coworkers or anyone else that is directly working App Studio. But I don't know why that hasn't been implemented yet. You have a lot already been processed, so you might feel that a fresh would take much time, or maybe it, maybe you could potentially get a lethal loop refreshes. Not sure, but I'll leave that up to you all. Wish you luck on that. Have a great day. Okay. Okay, so there's that. We're done on that end. So um, I wanted to try to answer those questions. You know, that was kind of given to me along those lines, and um, before I really kind of proceeded on. Now, um, you know, we finished off the escalated light work, and we have not gone on to the decision tables in Dev Studio. Now, they say that it's going to be taking me up to 10 minutes to finish this, but I know that I'm probably going to be taking a lot more than 10 minutes to finish all of this. To read through it and to maybe, put in some additional details and all that. So, and well, unfortunately, we got about 10 more minutes before I normally switch on over to um, my just chatting and uploading videos to YouTube and making videos available. Um, so there's not enough time to go over this, you know, clearly, definitively, and so on and so forth. So, I'm sorry. There's going to be a delay on on this again. Apologize for anybody that's was kind of wondering, when am I going to be getting to this? So I I will, believe me, I want to reach that goal of getting the certification. Okay, because you know I need work there, folks. So I mean, don't get me wrong. Um, I'm gonna be making money somehow. Um, so, and YouTube isn't covering that yet. So, um, you need a certain amount of subscribers to get to that point of even considering making any kind of ad revenue. And we're not there. And that's okay. That will come with time. You know, um, for those of you that are watching right now, still, you've gone through the entire video. Um, you can help out with that. You know, you you know, um, what you can do is like, share, subscribe, all that jazz. That will help me grow as a channel if you like this Pega content here. Okay. Um, like I said, feel free to ask any kind of questions or comments or stuff along those lines to these videos if you find them helpful. I appreciate the um, the comments. I appreciate the love and support. Um, anybody does, right? Um, and if there's some form of constructive criticism, then feel free to give that too. Okay, I don't mind. But please make sure that it's constructive. You know, things like this is the worst thing ever. It's not constructive or anything along those lines. Not to say that I've gotten that on the videos. I'm not saying that. Um, I'm just saying, that could potentially happen. Um, like I remember, I got raided once with World of Warships, and um, someone says, "Oh my God, you suck in the game," and I'm like, "Okay, no, that's not constructive, and it's not really good criticism either. So you can go ahead and leave." So constructive, please. You know, if you feel like I'm doing something wrong in some way, maybe figure out, how I can improve on it. Okay, so, um, you know, so that I might be able to take up your suggestion on that. Now, if you might say, oh, hey, Jim, what you could do is add music. I can't do that. Okay. I've tried adding, you know, non-copyrighted music to my channel before, and I got hit with like 6 or 7 claims in just a short amount of time. So I feel as soon as, and, until I can get an actual license, a music license to basically, show that, hey, I can play this music whenever I want to. I can load up this radio station that has all of these licensed radio, and I can play that, but I don't have that. Okay, that license is going to cost a yearly fee, to maintain it. Okay, I'm not I'm not there yet. Maybe someday, but for right now, That's not possible. And no, I'm not going to even bother considering trying to do some kind of distortion or anything along those lines to steal music or anything along those lines. Not going to happen there, folks. So don't even bother suggesting it. So, um, plus I know that it probably wouldn't work anyway. You know, there was actually one time where I wanted to try to have some music because I was celebrating I was celebrating achieving affiliate status on Twitch at one point in time. Uh, I I knew that the original music wasn't was copyrighted, but I figured maybe MIDI might work. But nope, even that was copyrighted. That was claimed because hey, it's the same music. So so yeah. Um so yeah. Um so that's where we're gonna go ahead and call it for right now. I want to thank everybody that was here. Had no chatters, but that's okay. I'm thankful for those of you that are just kind of sitting in the background, lurking. I appreciate you being here, so continue to do so. Um, you know, I have no problem with that. Um, I encourage you to chat with me. It helps kind of pass the time a little bit more, but um, that's if you're comfortable. Don't feel like you have to. Okay, so um, it's okay. Believe me, I know. Sometimes, like for example, um, uh, when I see two people, getting into the discussion and stuff like that, sometimes their discussions are kind of hitting on the exact same points that I probably would have been adding myself. And I, even if I was to try to step into that conversation, um, I feel like I wouldn't have really added too much more to it. So I kind of sit back and watch it progress and stuff like that and um, see how it goes. If there is something that, maybe they missed or they're kind of ignoring or something along those lines, then I may speak up. Okay, but it depends on the conversation, right? So, um, but that's me. Um, let's see. I think that's yeah. I don't think there's really anything else for me to really talk about. Um, so we're gonna go ahead and close down this video here in just a second. Stay tuned for the just chatting portion of the stream, and we got Goat Simulator later on tonight. So stick around for that if you're watching live on stream. If if you're just watching this, on via the videos, feel free to check out all the rest of the videos on this playlist or check out the other playlists that I have. Um, and yeah, that's going to be it. So thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it. Hopefully, I'll catch you next time. Until then, take care. Have a good night. Stay healthy, stay safe. And I'll catch you strangers next time.